Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for news. Well, I want to cover, and I've talked about this a while ago, and it became very popular in the last few months, and that's artificial intelligence. Of course, the entire term that is makes no sense. It's like it used to be said, and it's so true, military intelligence. There is no such thing. There's nothing intelligent about the military. So it's another one of those misnomer nonsenses you run into out there. Here's the little smarty watch I was talking about recently. So artificial intelligence, what they've done is they've taken what is pretty bad software that we've been having for many years, which takes a lot of software, takes a lot of time to figure out how to use, and is difficult to use. And I continue to run into this stuff. Software they claim is basically intuitive. You don't have to learn anything. It's intuitive. Well, I've had nothing but problems, and I'm a pretty savvy tech person myself, and I have to wonder about all the boobs out there, how they use any of these things like Canvas and other things that are pretty difficult to use. And there's so many of these designed by a bunch of ignoramus, monkey-headed freaks, otherwise known as your computer science degree people, who produce complicated nonsense because they're into it. And it's very, very bad that we have this. And over the years, software has gotten a little better. But in general, I find most of it is something you have to struggle with. I mean, if you have to take more than 20 minutes to figure out how to use the software, you shouldn't be using it. That's my time limit, 20 to maybe 40 minutes if I'm getting somewhere. And if I don't, it goes back and I make sure that I can return it because some of this stuff is ridiculous. So, computer science is more than just making a program. If that program isn't easy to use, it's worthless. And you can really differentiate good tech from bad tech or great tech by the simplicity it is to use. If it takes training, you got to go to school, you got to have a giant 500-page book of how to use it, that's bad tech. And this is very typical of people who want to complicate issues and make things complicated by writing numerous, very detailed books, putting in all sorts of charts and mathematics, and you're going to have to learn this. And of course, it makes what they do kind of special because they spent a bunch of time putting together this garbage to make things sound important. They do this in medicine and law by continuing to use Latin names that people don't know anything about, but they're special. They went to school to learn stupid terms so they can steal from you. So, I mean, this is the kind of things that go on. And computer science and the people involved with it are some of the dumbest people in the world. Look at Bill Gates, really an imbecile when you get down to it. A greedy, rotten imbecile who didn't finish college, by the way. Apparently, he put in a couple of years. I thought it was a couple of months, but depending on the data, depending on the information you read for this day on Seweropedia, but the bottom line is he didn't graduate business school. Steve Jobs didn't even go to school. He learned everything by taking mushrooms and seeing the sky. I see suckers that work for me, and I know nothing. A guy of such low imbecilic honesty and morality that it's frightening of how bad Steve Jobs was. To his dying day, he denied his daughter, who was proven to be his daughter, through science. But of course, Steve Jobs didn't know what science was. We should make it a pink color. Thanks for your input, Steve. Go in the room there. There's some lollipops in the corner, Steve. So we have all these type of things that we get involved in the reality of things. So artificial intelligence makes no sense. There's no such thing as any intelligence that isn't human consciousness-based, which, when working properly, is mind-bogglingly powerful and interesting. One out of kilter, when corrupted, when screwed up by religious beliefs, by political beliefs, by sexuality, turns into a nightmare's hell of the highest proportions, as we see throughout this world today. So to think that somebody can actually design things properly, coming from the reality that they're coming from. And you got to remember that most of the people designing software and stuff are kind of strange people. A lot of it comes from India, and they're a society which is, I think, strange in itself. But what isn't strange? So the kind of things that are put together there is very, very poor technology and very difficult to use, and most of it doesn't work too well. But of course, computers, editing software, word processing, I mean, these are fantastic tools. And if you can find a good one that you can work with easily, more power to it. But in general, all of this stuff is what we could call a little bit of a nightmare. Or as I like to call computers, the box of hell. So the only thing missing is Pinhead and a few other nice little results, Freddy. But it can really bring you into this pretty hell reality. Now, what has artificial intelligence done for us? Now, again, they've been pushing it recently, I'm assuming, to sell more of it to people. It does a lot of nonsense. It is really not very good, but I guess it can help. I mean, computers used to produce, of course, just boxes of stuff you had to fill in, charts, things that, of course, you had to fill in anyway, but it was a good record. It's a good, and of course, they're great filing cabinets. And as I've mentioned, they're pretty good for doing things like word processing, image changing, etc. These are all what software is good for, and they all have levels of difficulties that can or cannot be used by the average person. Now, what's happened is we've moved away from some of those things, and not really that much, into what's called doing things for you. Well, this generally in business has always been called the algorithm. Now, all people use this and have been using this for many, many years, meaning the computer makes the decision. Places like YouTube, eBay, Amazon, etc., PayPal, all these services are using this kind of algorithm. Now they're trying to make it sound better as artificial intelligence to chart what's happening in someone's business or what they're doing. Now, YouTube has, I don't know, thousands and thousands of videos uploaded every minute. So it's virtually impossible for humans to look through those. And if they did, they would have to have a giant staff, and it would still delay things horribly. So they run through it with computers that look for algorithms. Did they say naughty words? Ooh, do they have naughty pictures? Well, this is what the computers can look through. And what they do is they don't really analyze it, they just bounce it. So if you have a picture there that doesn't quite conform to the normal, and it may not be pornographic or anything else, they just bounce it. And they don't really care. And maybe or maybe not a human will look at that. And of course, if you do that, you bog things down. But these are multi-billion-dollar corporations, and they need to have large staffs to do things correctly. Now, these payment processors are famous for this, particularly PayPal, who just goes ahead and freezes your account because something odd has happened. It's Christmas. You made more money. We don't get that. So we're going to freeze your account. You got to prove to us you're in business. This happens to everybody. And this is all part of their algorithm to check what they consider. They're not looking at the fact, which would be what somebody smart would do. Who's this business? They've been around for 20 years. We can look at their business and see that they've been doing business. There's nothing unusual. Yeah, they're making a little more money. Well, we should penalize them for that, shouldn't we, old PayPal? And that goes with YouTube and everything else. If you put something up that they don't like, you use certain words. This is all caught by the algorithm, otherwise known as artificial intelligence, and you get thrown in the waste paper basket or in the troubled area. Well, we can't show that to our advertisers. We can't have that, etc. So they keep marginalizing you, and they refuse to take your traffic and monetize it in the fact of bringing people to it. So you get thrown in the dustbin unless you say what is vanilla, what is mediocre, what is middle of the road. And this way you can't really make any, build up any subscribers, make any kind of decent money because it doesn't fit in their little nonsense, tiny little box of stupidity. So all of this is a big problem that goes on with it. So there's nothing intelligent about that. As a matter of fact, it's anti-intelligent or it's idiot intelligence. It's what I call II. Are you using II? Idiot intelligence? So, and that's of course what we're using. And all of this that really can't figure out how things are done causes all sorts of problems. So this happens throughout of it, and it's a big problem in places like eBay and Etsy and other things, who go through and can't ascertain the difference between an empty collector bottle of whiskey and whiskey that is a full bottle. They can't figure that out.
That's so artificial intelligent like, Dr. Toll. It makes so much sense that the great intelligence can't figure out empty and full.
So that's right, and this is what we tend on. We should give them the power to shoot off nuclear weapons, etc., based on that kind of artificial intelligence. After all, we've taken the emotions out of it, and we've put the stupidity in it. Idiot intelligence. I. We should all get into the I. We don't have to. It's being given to us now. Idiot intelligence rules. So the fact is, and I've gotten letters and other things from people who use idiot intelligence, and they produce these kind of strange letters. You can see what they're using because they don't really make sense. They're very flowery, meaning they say a lot of words, and you kind of scratch your head and say,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Um, doesn't really say anything, but it's kind of interesting.
and that's what you get. And you can find out people who are using that. So the bottom line, if you have to use stuff to do letters, to write letters and stuff like that, or presentations, etc., well, you've got a problem there. If you want to talk to fellow idiots and get in a group hug of idiot stupidity, well, you can use idiot intelligence, and its brother, artificial So it's just nonsense, and it really doesn't work. Now, does it have a place? Like everything else, as they start to work on these, it may be helpful. It is kind of helpful to fill in certain boxes, but when you start allowing computerized systems to vanillaize everything and fill in all the boxes so it kind of looks good, it kind of makes sense, everything becomes this one vanilla flavor of life. And you're missing a great importance of having the intelligent, active brain hooked up into consciousness by giving you information. But God forbid we should have anything of intelligence out there. It has to be idiot intelligence or artificial. So all of this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Now, again, does it have some sort of use? Well, of course, it probably does for certain things. If you can have something semi built for you, let's say a website that produces a product, and it's amazing how everything in life is so vanilla that you can actually have this artificial intelligence build you a website that appears to be pretty good. And they're going to use all those factors. Now, you can do that with a business. Maybe if you're selling shoes or shirts or belts or whatever it may be, you can probably get away with that. And maybe you can go in afterwards and kind of fix it so it's a little better. So, the bottom line is when you have a commerce site and you're selling shoes or belts or anything, what you say about it is basically in the text that you put in. And a vanillized version of that probably is not a problem because of the fact is that the product is visually chosen. I like it. I look at them shoes. You don't know whether those shoes fit well until you have them on your feet, but you're not going to buy them that way in the new reality we live in. You're going to buy them online with the correct size, and then you're going to determine if they're good. Of course, we have $800 billion worth of returns in Amazon alone, so a lot of that ain't don't work all right. So, but the bottom line is that's what you're going to do. So the point is, one shoe site is just as good as another shoe site, and there's nothing you need very special about it. If it flows properly, if it's easy to buy, if the pictures are good, well, then you should be a success. The bottom line comes to be what is the product you're selling and can you look at it? So I'm not sure the words in a shoe ad is anything that drives a person to buy it. They're going to, how attractive is it? Maybe the material it's made out of has a factor for someone. These are all artificial intelligence, easy to punch in things. Now, where does it begin and end? So there is a practical use for it and could save people a lot of time. And it means if you can have a site built and then go in and fix it to make it better using better words, because I don't think artificial intelligence is good, it's a lot of psychobabble. So, and it depends on what you're selling again. Again, if you're selling shoes and ties and coats and candy bars, it probably doesn't matter. If you have more high-techy stuff or interesting or different stuff, the actual terminology you use can be very important, and it depends on your clientele. So there certainly is a place for everything. How does it adjust to you? How do you use it, etc.? This is always the challenge of life that we have to look at. And certainly we want to be able to do things quicker, faster, and at a high level of professionalism instead of spending hours and hours doing everything ourselves. So there is a place for this, but let's get it clear. This is idiot intelligence. There's nothing artificial about it in terms of it's a program, and the program is deciding what's happening. So this isn't miraculous. It's not fantastic. It's applying computer technology to the next level of kind of doing something instead of assisting you. And this is the whole reality out there as we are moving into that ourselves, and the whole idea of having manifesting technology. Now, manifesting technology does something for you. Your phone, your computer, this is something that assists you. They're tools, but they don't really do anything. You have to work with them. The whole idea is to move to the next level, and that's kind of what some of this is doing. But, this is nothing new. There are actually marketing companies have been using this tech for many years now that have designed products that are selling at a high level because they're putting all this information in. Well, it doesn't take much to figure out what kind of products would be selling based on the garbage that is out there selling now. I'm not sure that's a great development. It would be nice to have pure products that are helpful, that work, that empower you in life in general, and not just something where they're going to sell you another line of garbage that you really don't need. So, as we evolve with these different techs and these different sensing and all the stuff we should be getting into to make our lives better, well, in another 20 or 30 years, maybe we'll have something that's worth it if you live that long. And we all have to wonder if we will. Until next time.